And now I am live on Randy Jack Ogren. So, hello everybody. We're about 7, 8 minutes after 3 o'clock. And hi, Catherine. You were with me on my group site. I was broadcasting from the group site, my group site, RJ Ogren and Disney, which I kept saying I was going to do. And hi, Romina, you're back. Oh, and Renee, yes. Catherine, yes. Okay. Apparently nobody could find me, so or got a notice that I was on. And oh, hi, Bessie. Thank you for coming back. And Brian, and there you are. This time it gave me a notification. Well, okay, that answers that question. From now on, everybody, and I'll put a thing out on that. I will go ahead and keep broadcasting from my site of Randy Jack Ogren, my regular Facebook site. RJ Ogren and Disney is the group site, and that is where we have all kinds of other fun, and I post a lot of stuff. Um, Renee, hi. I'm at the MCO, heading home, heading home. You're heading home. Whoa, Rick Forbes, hi. Okay, so as all of you are jumping in, what happened was, I'll explain quickly, is that um, hi Missy, I was broadcasting from RJ Ogren and Disney, and it turns out apparently that people weren't getting a notice that I was on. So here we are back at my regular site, Randy Jack Ogren, and I'll broadcast from this now on. It just makes it easier because I get a lot of people home from Disney. Oh, hi Renee, home. Oh gosh, did you have fun? I hope. Um, and you better have. So. No, a couple of things, and I'm working on two paintings, doing two stretch paintings of the ballerina on the tightrope, and Romina, you're on here. One of them is for you, and so there is something sketched on there. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm going to paint some background in. And yes, it's been a crazy few weeks. Actually, I got sick. Was part of the problem. And I don't know what I had, something that was going around. Yes, I got my flu shot. That was a month ago. You walk into the Veterans Administration Hospital, Heinz VA in Chicago, and they accost you at every corner. You have your flu shot? Okay, yeah, I do now. So Barb and Jenny and hi everybody, Missy. Hey Bob Livermore, how you doing? And Chris Hiller. See, now everybody's getting on. See, I should have just come here to start with. And hey, Bob Livermore, you're gonna like this. Remember my car in high school? I actually have a model of this is this is what I drove in high school. I was very tiny in high school, and it was this color. I had it painted, and I redid the whole interior in the same color. It was wild with when we had blue lights inside, and I had an Horn in it. It's a 50 Ford, 1950 Ford, and looks good. It's a 3-speed stick shift on the column, and I love this car. And Suzanne and I, when we were dating, we went all kinds of places in this car, and actually. I drove it for 2 years. I graduated high school in '62, and then when I went into service, my parents sold it. Darn, wish I still had that, but I do. I have this, and actually, in our senior year, we could. I've a reminder when you took the back window out of the drive-in. Oh my God, it was I thought it was my dad's car. I did that. I had the speaker in the window and we started to drive away, and it just ripped. Instead of just pulling the whole window out, it just ripped the top edge and down the back edge. My dad was really mad. But actually, then we decorated this, and we were the Miami Norland Vikings, our high school. Hi, everybody out there from school. And I decorated this. We actually built a Viking ship on top of my car. And I won this elaborate award for best decorated car. Yee! Ooh. Okay, enough of my car. Okay. Made car back when they made cars the right way. Yes, Chris. Would love to get a 1569 Camaro one day. Oh yeah. Oh, I should post it. We a couple years ago we bought a 2000 Mustang red. Love the car. It's 5 speed. It runs great. And when we bought it, it only had 65,000 miles on it. And one owner. I mean, my God. Well, I shouldn't say it. One owner until about a year before we bought it, and this young man bought it, and then he sold it to us. And but he took good care of it and didn't put much mileage on it. So we love it because we love Mustangs. We didn't want to buy a new one. We like this car because it doesn't have all the electronics on it, and boy, is it fast. But when we got married, Suzanne actually bought, just before we got married, bought a new 65 Mustang. And boy, I love that car too. So yes, we love Mustangs. Good look, I can see. Um, so now I got to tell you, Suzanne is doing a Facebook page, a business page, because I have one too. That's RJ Urban, the artist, and some of you may have gone on there. And she wanted everybody to know that she thought she was going to have it this weekend, but she's getting over being sick too. It's been crazy around here. So I think it'll be about another week, and she'll have that up and running. And also, I posted, of course, Veterans Day is coming up on Sunday, and I posted a picture of me on the deck of a ship by the railing, looking. It was a sunset on the Gulf of Tonkin, just off the coast of Vietnam, and that photo was. I was a photographer, and that was just a few weeks before I was in a very bad situation, and I got out. I came home. I was due to come home, but not the way I expected. Anyway, enough of that. And I'm looking at my notes real quick. I was talking about the fact earlier that I says, I'm coming to you from Aurora, Illinois, my hometown. I was born here, did not live in Aurora, but I was born at the hospital here. I should put pictures of that hospital. It's still standing. It's a really cool building. And but we lived in St. Charles. Aurora, Batavia, Geneva, and St. Charles go right up and right on. They're right on. Actually, they cross over the Fox River, and it's very beautiful. It's a beautiful, it's a neat drive to go to each town. But we lived in St. Charles for 5 years. Then we moved to Rock Island on the Mississippi, and then we moved to Miami, and that's where I went to high school and met Susie. But Aurora, little did we know, we moved back to the Chicago area back in 2000. That would eventually, when we buy a house, it would end up being in Aurora. And I'm like, we're only about 8 blocks from downtown Aurora, and one of my grandmother on my mother's side, my grandma and grandpa, have a house that was just on the other side of the river. It's still standing, as is my Swedish grandma and grandpa's house in St. Charles. So I was always around here as a kid, visiting the grandparents and stuff, and so a lot of fun times. And the city of Aurora is known as the City of Lights. And I mentioned this when I was broadcasting from the group site, but nobody was getting on except for a few of you. Am I talking too fast? Oh, look, the Cardinals back. Cool. Oh, hi. I spend more time laughing at myself than anybody else laughs at me. But it's called the City of Lights because we are the first city to have electric lights in our city. True story. City of Aurora goes back to the early 1800s when it started, and numerous ethnic groups started this: Swedes, Italians, Germans, Mexicans. Let's see, who else am I thinking of? There were people from Portugal. There was a group. Oh my gosh, it must have been about 10. Of course, the Irish, and there were British. So, and the city is very diverse. And I just 2 days ago spent a couple of lovely hours with Jen Evans, who heads up the art group that sets up the things with the city to have murals done outside in the city. So it looks like, and the wall we're looking at, and it's huge. It's 100 feet across and 25 feet high, and a very prominent intersection in downtown Aurora. And I am designing some I'm doing some sketches right now. I won't tell you what they are until we get that approved, but it's Disney-ish, but it's not Disney that we're looking at doing, but it's going to be something the kids will enjoy, the adults will enjoy, and should have some history to it of this. It's a mishmash of a lot of fun things. And I'll be painting that because they'll once I do this sketches, then we'll be talking about how much it is, what's involved. The city will put the scaffolding up for me, and even prime the wall. And then and there's a little strip of park, beautiful little park right in front of where this building is and that wall. So it's a beautiful spot, and I'm very excited that here, the city I was born in. Now I'm going to knock on wood, do this huge mural, and we'll do it next summer. Probably start in the spring. And so between doing all my paintings and my commission paintings, and I will also be doing that. So it's going to be a very exciting summer. And yes, I will be careful because I do get a little dizzy once in a while. I have to be very careful anyway. And I had a major concussion a few years ago. We don't want to go there. So, okay, can't wait to see them. Oh, cool. Okay. And I am going to paint. I really am going to paint on this in a minute. I'm from Northwest Indiana. I'm looking forward to see it. Oh, well, it's nice. Yes. When I'm painting that mural, I'm going to be, of course, I may even do a couple of live, why not? Do more than a couple. We'll do some live broadcasts right from the scaffolding. That'll be great. I have to have my grandson Alex and Libby up there with me to make sure I don't fall off or drop my laptop. But wouldn't that be fun? You'll actually be right there where I'm painting up in the air. Renee, moving to Aurora in June of next year? Really? Whoa. Where are you moving from, Renee? And you have to let us. Oh yeah, let me know. Let Suzanne and I know. You can beat us on a Friday afternoon at the Victorian Tea Room, which we're going again tomorrow. We didn't go last Friday because we had some great family from out of town was here, and then right after that, Susie got sick, so she's just now recovering. She's feeling better, and in the middle of all this past week, I made a mention of hanging off the roof. Actually, our grandson Alex was hanging over the roof. We had the winds got really high, and we have a cover on the attic access at the back of the house on the one story area of the house. We have a 2-story house, and the cover had blown off, had louvers in it and stuff. Of course, it keeps animals out too. And we don't have an extension ladder yet. So we went out the upstairs bathroom window, Alex and Libby and I, and Alex laid down and was able to lean over the side and fix it while Libby and I held onto his legs, and my wife was having a heart attack. So craziness. Flora, Illinois. I do not know where that is, but I'm so excited you're moving to Aurora. Well, let's talk. And Erica, nice to see you. I'm at work myself. Oh, hello everybody at Erica's work. The Black Lake ones are my fave on Oregon Central Coast. Oh, yeah, Oregon Central Coast. Oh, it's beautiful up there. Okay, Sandy and Chris, boy, everybody's just jumping. All kinds of people on here today. Yay! Okay, I mentioned that. One other quick thing. I was just talking with my Swedish cousin, because I am second generation Swedish, and but anyway, my cousin in Sweden had sent me this. Let's see if I can get that. Yeah, there we go. Now, the woman that is standing came here in 1912, and that is my Swedish grandmother. So her name was Esther. Hertig was her maiden name. And then she married uh, Ogren, Harry Ogren. And he died when my dad was 16, and she remarried Gus Wedin, Weden, also a Swede, and that's who I remember as my grandfather. And the one seated is one of her sisters. She was in a family in Sweden of 13 siblings in a two-room farmhouse. Ah. So my cousin Eva, her grandmother, and my grandmother were sisters. Isn't that a neat picture? Wow, I love that thing. Okay, enough of this falderall. Gotta go. I'll watch the rest later. Bye, Renee. Erica, glad you fixed it. Yeah, so am I, that thing on the roof. That's so cool. Yeah, we'll talk, Renee. Wow, I think that's cool. You're moving to Aurora. It's a great town. All kinds of neat stuff happening here. And of course, we have the Paramount Theater, which tomorrow morning I am being interviewed by the newspaper, extension of the Chicago Trib, and because I'm back in Aurora, and I'm very excited about that. And I was contacted by them to do this, so I'm very excited about that, and we'll have some fun with that too. Yes. Yes, I'm trying to think of her name, the writer. Crosby is her last name. That's okay. If you're watching, I'm sorry, I can't remember your first name at the moment, but it's normal for me. Post a clip of the newspaper article when you get it. Oh, yes, I will, Romina. I'll find out more. I'll let you all know next week when that either has already come out or is coming out. And so that's a neat thing. And looking still, just one thing after another. Why don't I paint? Something about Disney. We just found out just recently that a very dear friend of ours passed away, and he was one of the original of the barbershop quartet, the Dapper Dans, and that was Joe Hudgens. He started there when the park opened, and yeah, he will be missed. He's up in heaven now, dancing and singing away, probably with Bub, because they've performed together for years. And so, yeah, enough of that. Okay, and I just wanted to mention that because so many of you, if you went to the Disney parks in the 70s and 80s, you more than likely saw Joe performing. And I should post a picture and the funny thing, every time, and Joe and his wife at the time would come to our house, we'd go to their house, and he and Joe and the Dapper Dans actually performed for a surprise party for a birthday party for Suzanne one year. Excuse me. And that just chased everybody away, didn't it? I'm looking out the window to see if the Cardinals back. I just saw a blue jay yesterday. Blue jays you don't see very often up here, and you people that live in Florida have been to Florida a lot. Blue jays are very prominent in Florida, and I looked out and have the bird feeders outside one of the windows, and there was a blue jay. Cool. Romina, I'm so sorry to hear that. I know I've seen him before. When I post, I will remember to do that. When I post the picture, you'll go, oh, yeah, Joe, right. but what we would do every time Susie and I would just come into the park with the kids, you know, and then many times we went to the park as guests because of course we were management. We got in for free anytime, and which was wonderful for an almost 20-year span. And but we'd always come in early to the Magic Kingdom, and of course there'd be the Dapper Dans, and they would see us coming and start going, try to ignore us, because they knew every time I say it, I says, "Do light a rose," and they would do it beautifully. So anyway, fun times. Okay, I think I pretty much. Oh, and welcome to all our new members in the group, RJ Oregon and Disney. And please tell your friends. Everybody just keep coming. The numbers are growing. And now I'm going to pick up a brush. I'm going to put on my glasses. Now you can see. Now you can see what you're saying in my my glasses. Okay. To do the backgrounds of this is the ballerina, and look at that. I mixed the colors, and there it's down here. Where is it? Don't go away. It's right there. That's the blue. The background for this I do in a blue with some lavender, and I'll show you how I do that. And I do have to put 2 coats on. Of course, I'll just put 1 on today. Let me open this up. Here I thought I had all the paints ready. And so what I do is I start first with the blue. Now you have to realize, usually when I do this, I will just put in the blue and let it dry. But because we're on a limited time frame here, I will go ahead and put both colors on, which is fine. Because what I do is I'll let it dry, and then when I put the second coat on is when I put the lavender tones in. But I'm going to put those in right now. And so I do a little section at a time, and then I put just a touch of that. Oh, I gotta have a different brush to blend. Okay, this brush is clean, soft brush, and I brush those into it so it's uneven and mottled. Mottled. Can you all see that? Okay. Tell me if you can, because you know what I'm seeing on here. It's very light, and I can change the lighting here a little bit. So somebody say something. Can you see that all right? Come on, talk to me. So, and up in this left corner are leaves, obviously from a tree, but you don't, all you see are the leaves. And right here is her hair of the ballerina. So doing that, then I get a little bit of the lavender again. Put that on there. And I like to sit when I paint. So I actually, these are sitting on the floor right now. They're leaning against the easel, but I, because of injuries, I especially went to my foot, especially. Damn war. If I stand too long in one place, my right foot starts to swell up and get very uncomfortable. Okay, you can see it, but it's light but visible. Let me try one thing real quick and see if we can improve that. Don't go away. I'll be right back. I'm going to walk over here. That make it better? Now You know, look, to me, it looks better. Still kind of, it's still light. It's a very light color. If I, wow, I'm going to do this. Now you can see the light pencil sketching I did and the color I'm putting on there. And, oh, that's okay. We'll work in semi-darkness. What the heck? I like it dark. That's why I like the black light paint. But don't get paint on my car. So now that actually what's happened here is now I've gotten down to where the leaves are and her face, and I want to leave just paint up to those and into those lines a little bit. And when I do a second coat after this dries, I'll take some of this lavender shading right up to her face. I'm not going to do it right now. I'll do it on the second coat. So, yeah, guess what the most popular stretch room painting is. Okay. I am going to put a little bit right there. Okay, with another brush. And another brush, smaller brush to blend with. Just because that bothers me like that. There. Okay. And Sherry, yes, looks great. Okay. It's still light, Erica. Yeah. I'm sorry. You know what? Isn't this fun? Don't go away. I'm going to make it darker in here. Wow. Now, I don't think that helped one bit. Let's try this. I'm going to turn on the light. Oh, goodness. And aim it up at the ceiling. Is that better? Now I look grainy, but you know, that's me. That's my normal look. They have the dresses for sale. Really? Do they have ballet slippers they sell with it? That would be funny. So there's all these leaves up in here on this side of the painting. And but these two paintings are for two different people. One being Romina, who's I think still with us, and right now, and the other is Frank. Okay, so I'm just painting around that, and just so you realize, so yeah, talk much, RJ? I don't know. So, okay, that goes there like that. Leaves. Okay, stop there. So you can see that. And yes, yeah. Okay, so I've got them side by side because she is the most popular. I get, geez, I'd say half or 2/3 of the requests I get for stretch room paintings. She is the most popular one. If people want just one stretch room painting, they of course they may order off 4. Romina, you've ordered off 4. But yeah, invariably, people want her. So but because I'm trying to stay on somewhat of a schedule, I'm doing them both at the same time. So I actually will jump back and forth. You gotta watch out which brush I pick up now. I've got numerous brushes here. So I can work with the same colors. And after I have put, there's the lavender, and then I'll blend with this brush. Now, as you can see, even the background, even though it's the same colors, won't be exactly the same. So every time I do one of these, there are things change a little bit. And lucky Romina and Brian. I am so excited you're painting my first stretch room painting. I'm excited too. It's like that picture I put of the croc from Peter Pan, and he's flapping his front legs up and down in the water. Erica, New Orleans Square, no shoes but cute hair bows with a cameo and long ribbons for the dresses they're selling. Wow, that's cool. Nice. Um, so yeah, so this makes it easier. Like I said, what'll happen is I will um, put all this background in, and then I will, after it's all dry, which by the time I get done painting down to the bottom of the painting, um, it will be dry at the top, so I can go back and start over. And there's the handle of the umbrella, and there's more leaves over here. But then I'll paint this again and finish the background. And of course I have plenty of this color, the colors I've mixed, so that I can always touch up, because then what I will do is block in all the colors of the different, your flesh tones, the umbrella, the leaves. But I will go in and finish the background first. Then I'll do the leaves next. Then I'll do the umbrella. And then I'll work on her, working my way down and to the crocodile at the bottom. So you always want to paint the background first and work front to back. And of course, it's always nice to work from top to bottom. Same thing on a mural, like that big mural I'm gonna do. Um, it's always good to start at the top, because you don't want to spill paint on everything you've painted at the bottom. So, um, and I'm designing the concept for that mural in Aurora, and I am also working on the preliminary designs for a set of the play of Wit, which will open right after the first of the year. Oh, and our beautiful theater of you guys should look it up, the Paramount Theater in Aurora, Illinois. It's a historic theater, 1,800 seats, spectacular. It was built in like 1925, 1930, but it's on the list of national historic places, and especially of theaters. And we get to see Broadway shows that come in there, and actually for a lot less than what we would pay in downtown Chicago. And we actually can walk to the theater. We're only about 8 blocks away from it, which is really nice. I'm painting right beside. I'm painting. That's her hair right there. Um, and let's see if I can get these other little bit of color in there. There we go. And but Jen, when I was talking to her about the mural a couple days ago, said I need to go talk to them at the Paramount because they would be very interested, I hope, in my background as a scenic designer. And also, of course, it turns out that when some of these Broadway shows come through on tour, a lot of times local actors get to play some of the minor roles. So I don't know if I'll have time for that, but it is kind of a nice thought. Now, um, hey, you can see what's now a little bit more up. Now, this above the umbrella, that's all leaves up there above it, but I'll do this edge right here coming down. I've got some done over there already. And of course, if you've not joined me before, I'm working in acrylics. I used to be when I started out years ago. My very early paintings were all oil paintings, and back then that was in the mid '60s when I started. I started University of Miami when I got out of the service. That was in '66, and and by '67, '68, I already had paintings in a gallery, Los Olas Gallery in Fort Lauderdale on Los Olas Boulevard. Um, I don't believe the gallery is there anymore, but I became good friends with George, who owned the gallery, and um, and it was great having him sell my work there. And when I worked in oils, now back then acrylics were really not highly thought of because you had colors that were like white. It was hard to find whites that wouldn't yellow with age. Well, they fixed that because that now the whites hold their color, which is great. And what we have found over the many years with acrylics is that they retain their newness. I guess is the best way to say it. Years later, I've got paintings. I've got a painting I did in our living room. I did in 1973 in acrylic. One of my very early ones. It's a landscape, and it just looks spectacular. I mean, the way the colors have held up and everything else. And if that was an oil painting by now, it would have a lot of cracks running through it, which is what oils do. I'm going to drink from my Pirates of the Caribbean mug. You see that? And I'll turn it this side. Those are scenes from Pirates of the Caribbean, scenes that I worked on as an artist. Now, another reason that I'm doing this interview with the newspaper is because of being Mickey's 90th anniversary, which is great, and because I worked on the figures of Mickey Mouse, like in the Mickey Mouse Review, and murals that Mickey was in. So they thought that would be really cool, not just that I'm originally from Aurora, but that I was a Disney artist. So there's the tie-in with the 90th birthday. So, so I lose my train of thought when I'm trying to do everything. Anyway, that's just me. Okay. I'm trying to see what I've done with the leaves here. Now that I made it darker in here so you could see, I can't see. Well, I can see. It's just not as bright. Oh, I'm looking over at the other the other picture to see where the leaves are so I can get close to what it's supposed to be. And yes, I hide Mickey's in the paint. including the Ballerinas. So yes, and in the middle of everything, we are working on our third book, which we talked to our publisher, and you know, I'm sorry, we had hoped to have it out this year, but I have gotten so busy with paintings and now what looks to be a major mural coming up next year, and I actually have commissions into April. So if you are interested in a painting, just message me. Message me. Once I learn to talk, but message me on Facebook, and I will be happy to send you information and prices, and we can discuss what you might like in a painting. I am loving your mug this week. Oh, thank you, Romina. And Erica, yes, love hidden Mickeys. Yes, I put them in every painting. And then people, after they get the painting, say, where are the hidden Mickeys? I said, I don't remember. So, because I forget to write down where I put them, the specific spots, but I'll put anywhere from 2 to 5 hidden Mickeys in a painting. Erica, mural, nice. How big? Where? Um, Mural, yes, nice, cool. How big? I don't know. No, it's going to be in downtown Aurora. I was just meeting with the with Jen Evans with the city and the art projects 2 days ago, and it's going to be on a wall of a building that right in front of it is about an 8-foot wide or 10-foot wide strip, 100 feet long. That's beautifully landscaped, taken care of by the city, right by a wide walkway. It's at a major intersection in Aurora, and it's about 100 feet long and 25 feet high. Woohoo! So I am doing some sketches, pencil sketches over the weekend, and um, and if everything goes as planned, as we're planning, and the funds will be raised by the city, and I will be painting on that next spring or definitely by summer. And it's gonna, what we're talking about right now is sort of a Disney-ish type painting. I can't give too much away what we're doing, but it'll be something the kids will love, adults will love, and it'll be a lot of fun. It'll have historical significance to it, I believe. So after I do the sketches, I'll go, oh, is that what I was talking about? Erica, holy moly. Hey, maybe we should call that's the title of the mural. No, wait a minute. People will think it's, no, that's not a good idea. No, no, they'll think I'm doing a religious mural. It's not going to be that. No. So, and also because of Veterans Day coming up, I'll mention this again, next, over the next few days, or certainly by Sunday, I was going to post a few more pictures that even my family hasn't seen in years, and I know our grandsons have not seen at all of pictures of me in Vietnam. After I got out of the service in mid-66 and was going to college, moved up to Orlando, ended up going to work for Disney. And if you have not read our books, and if you're, please buy our books. If you're going to read about the Disney ones, which are, well, my book of Design of Fear is about the Haunted Mansion and about blacklight painting and about all the haunted houses I've done all over the years and running into real and imagined ghosts. But Together in a Dream was the first book that Suzanne and I wrote about our years at Disney in the early decades, and Remembering the Magic is basically the sequel, and it's a continuation of that. And our third book will be a continuation of that. So the But the first chapter in Together in a Dream, I talk about the weird, I've got about 5 minutes, so I'm going to tell you this, the weird circumstances of how I became a Walt Disney World artist. Don't you want to hear this story? I could give you an abbreviated, and then you'll have to buy the book to get the whole story. So that's how you sell books, see? So I am going to, everybody sit back, relax. RJ is going to tell the story. Oh, my little Mickey ring is turning around. If those of you who noticed the Mickey ring, yes, I was given that when I left Disney. Sherry, yes. See, you're the only one that wants to hear it. Okay, Sherry, this is all right. You know what? Give me just a second. I'm going to open the shades. It's very dark in here, and I'm getting scared. So, all right. I'm going to sit back with my cup of coffee, turn this, and relax. You can look at the Pirates of the Caribbean book. Okay. When we moved up from, after I graduated from University of Miami, I taught for a year in high school in art and decided that wasn't really for me. And we really wanted to work for Walt Disney World. In fact, when Disney opened in '71, we were there in September for the soft opening, just weeks before they had grand opening in October of that year. And I even went to their offices, which were in a trailer, and tried to get hired to work in any capacity. Well, Disney wouldn't hire us, either of us, because we had college degrees. They said we were overqualified to load people on the attractions. And it never occurred to me that there would be artists working at Disney World. It just wasn't. I knew there were the street artists that were doing portraits. I eventually found out there were the merchandise artists under Main Street, and I talked to them over the years. But as time went on, and after I taught that one year, in '73, we moved up to Orlando, again tried to get on with Disney, and they still wouldn't hire us. And we tried again over the next year and a half, and with no luck. And in late '73 is when a really bad recession hit. And if any of you lived in Orlando at the time, you know that recession, when it hit, well, I'm going to turn this a little more this way. There you go. It's a little more interesting background now. Oh, look, Disney stuff. There's Big Al. Oh, he's over there. Anyway, so now my screen looks like I'm too bright. Anyway, we almost became homeless. We were renting a house, a couple houses over a couple of years span there, and Orlando went into about 23% unemployment, late '73 into '75. My paintings, which I still had some in Fort Lauderdale, that gallery was struggling. The gallery I was in Orlando closed down. I decided to try to get a teaching job. I was working for architects, which I had done all the way through college, and was getting paid quite well as a designer and an architectural renderer. I was with the biggest firm in Orlando, and it went from 90 people to zip, like in 2 months. And all the architects shut down, all the buildings stopped. 21 of the 22 hotels that had been built between Walt Disney World, not on Disney property, and Orlando went into receivership. In other words, the banks took them over because they were all failing. They weren't getting enough people. Disney was fine. Disney property, the hotels were still full. Well, I realized I needed to do something to make some money, or we were going to go under, period. I heard about this. It was advertised on TV about a vinyl repair kit. It came in a box the size of a shoebox, and there was vinyl in there. There was glue. There was acetone-based paint. There was a heat gun. And actually, I went to these hotels that were in receipt. I figured, and I was right, they would not buy new uh, pads or backs for convention chairs. If it had a little rip in it, I could repair it for $1 as opposed to paying $10 to get a whole piece on the chair. Or I would repair stuff in the lounges and stuff of the hotels and the bars and everything else, the booths. I hated it. I mean, I would go, I had like 12 of the hotels I had contracts with, and every few months I would go back to a hotel and I would stack and unstack thousands of convention chairs to find a few hundred chairs that had a little tiny rip for $1 a piece. And I would spend all day, sometimes 2 days, fixing all those. But it kept food on the table, kept us out of the poorhouse, and I just kept thinking, what I've got. I'm a Vietnam vet. I've got this background as an artist. I by that time, while still in Miami and just as a teacher, I had painted portraits for John Davidson and Sonny and Cher and uh, Liza Minnelli. So when I moved to Orlando, I was like, well, things went bust. So here I am repairing these vinyl chairs, and the paint made my throat sore. The acetone paint, it was horrible. But I did that, and in mid '75, I'm telling you almost the whole story. See who else joins to listen. Anyway, um, being a set designer, the the architects I went to work for actually designed the Edith Bush Theater, which if those of you who live in Orlando know of the Edith Bush, is now a major children's theater. Adults doing shows for kids, and they're huge. But back then, it was done as a community theater, and everybody in Orlando that was an actor worked at Edith Bush um, Theater, and spectacular theater. It's a beautiful place. And Suzanne and I did many, many big shows there, comedies, dramas, musicals, Oliver, Sound of Music, everything. Well, I also designed some sets early on, and this woman who was a television reviewer, a theater reviewer and stuff, she wanted to meet me because she liked a couple sets I had designed. And a long time friendship came of that for many years. And anyway, she then told me one day, this was in late '75, that the Orlando Sentinel newspaper was looking for a artist or a designer to design a new Santa Claus float for the Christmas parade, the Orlando Christmas parade, which was at Thanksgiving. So Nikki Sarner, my friend, decided, she told them I was the one to do it. And I went down with renderings, met with them at the newspaper. They loved what I had come up with. They signed a contract. They gave me a huge space to build this float in. And almost killed myself getting the float ready, because by the morning of the parade, I actually had been up for 3 days. I looked just wonderful. And I was actually still painting a corner of the float. And this National Guard Jeep pulls up. And this guy was a sergeant that was driving the Jeep, and they were the ones that they were going to pull the float. And he said, "You look terrible." He said, "Hop in, have coffee with me, and ride the parade." I went, "Sure." Of course, I told him I was a Vietnam vet. As it turned out, he was. So we hit it off right away. By the end of the parade, he had convinced me I should join the National Guard to make extra money because of the recession. I told him at first I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to sign a 4-year contract. He said, prior service in Vietnam and the Navy, you can get out anytime you want. Oh, so the following Monday, I went to the National Guard, Orlando, which is the headquarters company, and met this guy named Duke Bouchard, who was a master sergeant, had medals all over his chest, all over his face. He was just incredible. And so you're going to have to buy the book. These are the kind of stories that are in there. and I know I'm going over past the 4 o'clock time, but I came on late to this. So anyway, I have 6 minutes to finish because I try to keep this to an hour. Talk faster, Randy. Anyway, And he sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He says, "So you want to join the army?" I went, "What? Which army am I joining?" Fortunately, he had a sense of humor because I really did say that to him. He says, "Why, the American army, of course." And Schwarzenegger has just become, his first movie was out, and he goes, "Yeah, everybody kids me." Um, but anyway, I signed all the papers. I ended up running the brigade uh, public relations, public information office, and I had a lot of photographers working for me. We flew in choppers. We had a jeep. We had a sedan. Oh, it was fun. I had a great time. I did this for 3 years. Now here's where things get weird. You're going, what has this got to do with Disney? Remember, I couldn't get the job at Disney because they wouldn't hire us, right? Because of our college degrees, that we were overqualified to load people on attractions. After I finished signing all the papers to join the National Guard, Duke Bouchard started talking. We started talking. He wanted to get to know me a little more and asked me what I was doing. I told him about the stupid vinyl chairs and how much I hated it. He says, "Well, what do you want to do?" I says, "Well, I want to work for Disney, but they won't hire us." He picks up the phone on his desk, calls a captain in the National Guard who was commander of another Central Florida unit, Army unit, and then he mentions my name to him. He hangs up the phone. He says, "Okay, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, you have to be at the casting office of Walt Disney World." I went, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "That's the captain." I went, "I got that." He says, "Well, he's head of hiring for Walt Disney World. He's making sure no National Guardsmen are out of work during a recession. You're out of work, sort of." And he says, "And now you're going to work at Disney." I went, "Who are you?" And he goes, "Trust me, you better be there." So the next morning, I had to be there 8 o'clock. So the next morning, I did. I still had. It was the end of the hippie era. I still had a mustache that came down to here. My hair was down to here. My wife cut my hair. I shaved off the mustache. I wore a suit and tie. And you all know at casting at Disney, of course, back then it was in a different place than it is now. But the first room was huge, and everybody's, hundreds of people in there making out applications trying to get out with Disney. If you made it past the first room to the second room, you had a pretty good chance that you were going to get hired. Made it to the third room in that setup they had, you definitely were getting hired, and they were going to tell you what you were going to do. I walked in at 10 minutes to 8. I introduced myself to this young lady, and she was, "Oh, Mr. Ogren, right this way." And I know my mouth was hanging on the floor, my jaw, as she leads me to the third room. And everybody in the room is going like, "Hey, where are you going?" Well, next thing I know, I'm being told I'm going to be a monorail pilot. Well, that's what I did. 10 days later, I was a trained monorail pilot after going through orientation and going through training. And here I am driving monorails around the beam, having a ball. I decided this is it. I'm going to work my way up through the company, and doing this kind of stuff, and get into the park area and work in there. And 6 weeks into this, now I'm busting my butt. Now they're telling me I'm monorails because I'm older. I was 32 at the time. I had a college degree. I'm a Vietnam vet. You have a college degree. Oh, yeah. Now they're talking about me being a supervisor because you said you're working really hard and we like you. And I went, "Oh, thank you." And then I saw an ad in the company paper, Eyes and Ears, for those of you who work at Disney, and a little tiny ad. Well, it turned out Leota Toombs, Adam Leota, had been there training the other three artists, Lee, Tom, and Jane. And we had a studio behind It's a Small World attraction. She was going back to the studios, and then they realized they really did need 4 artists. So I applied, as did 13 other people in the company. And we went through 5 weeks of interviews. I was interviewed by Mark Davis, who I found out would be one of our bosses from the studios. Wathel Rogers, Frank Thomas came out. That turned out he was actually looking for animation artists, which is another story that's in my book, our book. And after 5 weeks of this, and then the 6th week goes by. Now I'm still working on monorails. By now they're telling me we definitely are going to promote you on monorails if you don't get the job as an artist. So on I believe it was a Friday night, and I got off at 8 o'clock on monorail. So I went into the operations office for monorails, and I said to the supervisor, Bruce, I said, I haven't heard anything. No more interviews or anything. He went, nobody told you? I went, told me what? My heart sank. I thought, oh, I didn't get it. He goes, no. He says, we've known for a week. We were told not to tell you, that they would tell you. I said, tell me what? He says, Monday morning, you're supposed to be out in the art studio. You're the fourth artist. My God. Oh, wow. So I called Suzanne first and told her, and we both cried over the phone. We were so excited. I got off the phone. He says, you might want to call the director who was handling the interview process because he thinks you know. Obviously you don't or didn't. I called him up. I stopped crying first. Called him up. We talked. He went, oh, that figures. One supervisor was supposed to call the other 13 artists and tell them they didn't have the job. And one guy had one call to make, and that was to you. And so he said, I'm going to have to talk to that guy. And then I said, well, I'm thrilled. I can't believe it. I said, but listen, there were 3 other artists that are friends of mine that went for this job too, and they're really, really good. I says, what can I ask what I did different that got me this job? He said, remember what you didn't want to put on your resume, but your wife insisted on it because you had been doing this, and you didn't really, you were uncomfortable talking about it because it was such a horrible job. I went, the stupid vinyl chairs? He goes, yeah. I went, why? He says, ready for this? He said, the skins you were putting on the pirates, bears, ghosts, animals in the Jungle Cruise, everything, the skin is made of reconfigured hot melt vinyl glue. And you have to use heat to melt the skins together and trim them and everything else before you paint them with acetone-based paint, the same paint I was mixing and using on the chairs. He says, you're the only one that did anything like that. He says, the stupid vinyl chairs got you the job as a Walt Disney World artist. And that's how I became a Disney artist. Never look a stupid job in the face. You never know when it's going to come back to help you out with something maybe spectacular. Walt, thank you. National Guard. Mark Davis, Frank Thomas, all of you. I mean, it was life-changing. And thank you, Romina. You read the story in the book, but I like hearing it from you better. Well, thank you. That's nice. I enjoy telling it. Obviously, I've gone over my hour doing stuff here, but the stories, Romina, as you know, and others have read the books. Suzanne and I wrote alternating chapters. Our third book is going to be a little different the way we put it together, but because when I got off the phone talking to that director, the people on monorail said, we're going to really miss you because we liked having you out here. I says, well, I know somebody better than me. And they said, who? And I said, my wife, Suzanne. Now they knew Suzanne. She had come out and done stuff with us there and had parties and stuff and everything else. And unknowns to me, Bruce then called casting and told them to, and I thought that was so weird because it was late, but they called casting. And by the time I got home, Suzanne and the kids came out to greet me and they were all excited. And then she says, our kids are really little. And she goes, what is going on? I went, what do you mean? And she said, I got a call from casting. And this woman says, I don't know what's going on, but I was told to call you and hire you as a monorail pilot. And you're supposed to be here the next morning at 8 o'clock. Now I did do this. I said, trust me, you better be there. So that's how Suzanne became a monorail pilot. And she, of course, that's her first chapter going in. After I finished that first chapter of mine, it goes into that. And then, of course, she eventually went into, I got her into characters. And that's another fun story of how I helped her get an audition to be in Sleepy the Dwarf and Smee and stuff. And then she went in entertainment management, and it's crazy. But all of my chapters, I talk about working in the studio behind Small World, all the practical jokes we played, the funny things that happened on stuff we were working on, the things that would happen in the attractions, the number of times I fell in the water at Pirates of the Caribbean, how I almost drowned in the Jungle Cruise. And it's not funny. But anyway, okay. Uh, that is, let me see real quick what you all are saying here, and I will get off of here. Erica, love it. Thank you. Plus, this is my favorite story. Romy, oh, thank you. That's neat. Erica, cheers, Randy. Cheers to all of you. Catherine, great hour. Thanks. Thank you all for joining me. Tell your friends, join RJ Organ and Disney, the group. And oh, two of you just joined, Jennifer and Bruce. Hi, Bruce. But please watch us on the replay. For those of you who just joined us just now, I just finished telling the story of the first chapter of our book, Together in a Dream, and the bizarre way I ended up working at Disney and the bizarre way I ended up as an artist. One of the most unusual stories ever. So I'm going to, yes, have a great week. Everybody have a magical, crazy Disney weekend, I hope. And if you're at Disney, I hate you. Cheers to all of you. I will see you next week. Everybody have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you soon. And don't forget to, when you see a veteran or they're wearing anything that says they're a veteran, and any active duty personnel, thank them for their service. I just had a woman, I actually had my Vietnam vet hat on the other day when we went out shopping. I forgot that's the hat I had on. And a woman walked up to us in a grocery store, an older woman, and said, thank you for the service. We need people like you. And she walked away and she says, are you okay? And I almost couldn't talk. So yes, thank them for the service. And congratulations on the mural. Well, yeah, it's supposed to happen. They have to raise the money, the city, but we're going to make it happen. That's what I was told. They were going to definitely do it. I'll tell you more next week, and I'll tell you about the interview I'm going to be doing after, well, just tomorrow morning. Bye, everybody. RJ, stop talking. This is going on.